We have an incredible Mishnah today. I'm going to try to do the whole Mishnah in one shot. It's an absolutely beautiful, incredible, amazing Mishnah. This is probably one of the most famous Mishnahs. Everybody knows this Mishnah. You know, they say, famous Medrash, famous Gemara. Like, nobody had ever heard of it. This one, everyone heard, okay? This is Mamish Gavaldik. Ready? Here we go. Mishnah Dalet. That's what we're holding. Mishnah Dalet. As I go on, you'll get it. Kach hi darka shel Torah. This is the Mahalach. This is the way of learning Torah. Pas b'melach toichal. Bread with salt you shall eat. Umayim b'mesura tishteh. Water by measure you should drink. Va'al ha'oretz tishon. And you should sleep on the ground. V'chayei tzar tichya. And you should live a life of suffering. Uba toira ata omal. And you should be omal, not learn. Right? Sweat, toil in the Torah. Imata isakein. And if you do this, Ashrecha v'toivloch. Pasuk in Tehillim Perik Kuf Chav Ches. Ashrecha v'toivloch. And Darshan says the Mishnah, Ashrecha ba'olam hazeh. You'll have an amazing this world. V'toivloch, and it will be good for you la'olam haba. This is hands down the most incredible Mishnah. This is the Mishnah that tells us how to learn Torah. This is the Mishnah that it describes a person who's meant to be learning Torah and how to acquire the Torah and how to make Torah part of your life, as we will explain. So the idea is it begins with suffering and no benefit from this world, but it ends with goodness, happiness in this world and the great for the next world. The question really is, before we start the Mishnah, who are we trying to encourage over here? Who are we talking to? Who's the Mishnah aimed at? Is it the rich people to tell them that you've got guys who've got no excuse just because you're wealthy? Or is it the poor people to tell them just because you're poor you've got no excuse? Who's it talking to? So Rashi on this Mishnah understands that it's addressing a poor person. And it's inspiring him to learn Torah. Even though it's so difficult, it's so hard for him. He's barely managing to support himself and make money for his family. But so what? You're not potter from learning Torah, as the Rambam tells us in Hilchas Time of Torah. Everyone is chayiv, even you. However, that's Rashi's pshat. Most Achronim and Rishonim disagree, and they say no, it's going to everyone. This is presenting the ideal path for learning Torah for everyone, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, as it says in the Mishnah, Kachi Dauka Shel Torah. This is the way to learn Torah in that case. It's addressing everyone in that case. By the way, we often feel that, I don't know if you ever get these days, but sometimes you get a time where like, okay, I'm not down right now to learn. Like, I'm very easy to learn when everything's going great. The air conditioning is pumping. I slept an amazing 14 and a half hours sleep last night. The lunch was great. I've got my notepad, I've got my table. Everything is just perfect. Then we'll learn. But the moment things are not going exactly in the way that we want them to go, we had a bad sleep last night, somebody woke me up, the air conditioning's not working, I'm starving, this, that. I'm not down. I'm not down right now. So first of all, the Mishnah is telling us, by the way, stop looking for all the luxuries, stop looking for all the things that you don't necessarily need in order to learn Torah. And if you really want to learn Torah, you're definitely not going to look for that. The Sfas Emes, the Sfas Emes was learning this Mishnah with his kids. And when his kids heard the Mishnah, they said, Rebbe, I don't understand. All of you guys, right? This is what the Sfas Emes' kids asked the Tata, the Sfas Emes. Rebbe, Tati, the Gemara in Brachos Samach Beis tells us you're not meant to lie on the floor. So how's the Mishnah over here telling us to lie on the floor, to sleep on the floor? What's going on? Sfas Emes thought about it and he said, the Mishnah is telling us the Mesiris Nefesh that a person has to have for Torah is, even though in Echanami a person is not meant to do that, but it's worth it for the sake of learning Torah, to understand Torah. It's unbelievable. Reb Simcha ben Mepshischa, the Olim knows Reb Simcha ben Mepshischa, says a moedik a moshel. He says the moshel like this. He compares it to someone like a big businessman, right, who heard that there's a huge market that he can make a lot of money for his business, right? So he gets all the way there, it's a hard journey, and he gets a bad bed and he gets a terrible meal. Is he going to be complaining? No, because he has an opportunity to gain so much business-wise. So too, when a person realizes that this world is full of opportunities, yeah, right, so the bed's not so geschmack, the mattress, and there's the problem with the food and the water and this and the other. All right, you know what? This is really the way that a person should learn in that case. There's a Moedik Maisa. I said this morning in Shir, Shimon, you remember the Maisa with the Heilige Taz. the Taz, Moedik Amaisa with the Taz. In the side of the Shulchan Aruch, if you look in your Ideya, there's the Taz. Unbelievable person. Ad Kedei Kach, by the way, that when he got married, his father-in-law, the Bach, told him, I'm guaranteeing you, I'm going to give you meat every single day to support you and make sure that you have koyach to learn, protein. So at some point the Bach lost his money and he wasn't able to afford meat, so he gave him liver. And the Taz took his father-in-law to Beis Din to say, I'm not able to learn in the same intensity because I don't have my meat that you promised me. Right? We laugh because we think, like, what's the big deal? But like for the Taz, it meant everything. But I'll call upon him, his father-in-law wrote a tshuva to say that liver is also meat, and therefore I'm still yotze my obligations that I gave, my son-in-law. But I'll call upon him, who's extremely, extremely poor. Listen to this Maisa, Gevaldig Maisa. I said this morning. Shimon, this is Gevaldig. What's the Maisa? Chazara, Shimon, Chazara. The Taz was a rov of a little shtetl, right, called Probishina in Galicia, by the Galicianas. And they were so poor over there. No one could afford anything, especially him. He had nothing. And the people couldn't even pay him the salary of being the local rabbi. So he had nothing in his home. One night, he's sitting and learning Mamish Basmodi Gedola, and his teeth start to hurt. He gets a really bad toothache. So what's he going to do with his tooth hurting? So he tries to look for some alcohol to sort of, swish around to hopefully, numb the pain. He opens up all the cabinets, nothing. There's nothing around. He's so poor. So he goes and finds a little kretschmer, finds a little inn, where people over there drinking throughout the night, open 24 hours, and he asks for some alcohol, and he downs it, and Baruch Hashem, he feels a bit better, and he says, how much do I owe you? You owe me a kopek, right? So he says, okay, fine, I've got no money right now, write it down. So the guy, the innkeeper at the back of the wall, he used to write down all the people that owe him money, so that everyone would see, and this way everyone would pay him back, whatever. So the next morning, a bunch of Yidden from the shtot, from the place over there, went into the inn, and they look at all the people that owe money, and they see Rabbi, one kopek. They're like, we thought the rabbi is busy learning the whole night. It looks like he goes to the inn in the middle of the night and he starts drinking. And they fired him from his position until eventually he became one of the biggest rabbonim. In fact, he became the Rav of Lvov, and he was still Ad Hayom Hazeh, one of the greatest, authorities when it comes to learning in that case, which is absolutely amazing, very, very special. And by the way, we see all along all the Gedolim and our Tzaddikim, how they would put themselves in personal exile, and they would learn Torah Basmod Gedola, and it was difficult, and they didn't sleep, and they hardly ate, because that is the derech of Torah, which gives a person good in this world as well as the next world. Don't think you're only doing it for the next world, but also for this world as well. And we'll end with one last incredible idea. Listen to this, Rabbi Isai. There's a Gemara in Avodah Zarah. Shimon, we didn't say this morning. The Gemara in Avodah Zarah, Daf Yudam and Aleph, tells us that it quotes that after Rebbe Eliezer ben Dudai died, Rabbeinu HaKadosh cried, and he said the following. Look up the Gemara; it's an unbelievable Gemara. Yesh koina olama b'sha'achas, v'yesh koina olama b'kana shonim. Some people acquire their world in moments, and some people acquire their world in years. Now, for some people, they acquire their entire next world in one moment. Right? They get the entire next world in one moment. Some people, it takes many, many years. The Chayzum and Ablin quoted his Rebbe, the Mezritzer Magid, that asked the Kasha, and he said, why would this idea cause Rebbe to cry? Faket, he should be Simcha. Yesh koina lama b'sha'achas. Wow, it's possible for someone to gain his entire olam haba in one moment. He should be Simcha. Why was he crying? What was the crying? Zuk the Magid Meshus, he said, he says, Rebbe cried because if you can see that a portion of olam haba is koina, is acquired in a single moment, has so much less value, because it wasn't earned through a lifetime of toil to learn and to be busy with the Torah and with the mitzvahs. And the same thing as well, the Rebbe Melech of Lezhensk once said, I cannot ask to be rewarded for my toil after I began to experience the pleasantness of a connection with the Rabbeinu Shalom and the sweetness of his Torah. But, so the Rebbe Melech, I asked to be rewarded for my initial period of toil, which had tremendous exertion and discomfort. And that's what Rebbe of Melech explains this Mishnah. The Rebbe of Melech explains that when the Mishnah says a person should live a life of discomfort, it means that yes, sometimes in the beginning it's hard and you should push yourself and keep on going, because no, ultimately, you're going to get the greatest Olam Haba, but as well, you're going to get the greatest Olam Hazeh also. Tomorrow we continue, Be'ez Hashem.